Happy to have you with us this week on the American Huddle alongside Andy Gresh. I'm Haley Outen. Week 1 is officially in the books, and this week we're looking forward to 10 games, all on Saturday. Andy, what was your biggest takeaway from week 1 of the college football season?
Look, I thought that in games against other P6 conferences, the conference did pretty well. There are some ups and downs, no question. However, on the whole, I love what Cincinnati did against UCLA. I really like what Tulane did. There were some other easy victories in there in the American, but those are the two teams that really jumped out.
You mentioned Cincinnati, and they hit the road this week to take on number 5, Ohio State, riding momentum from this home win against the Bruins. How do these two teams match up?
Well, I think Ohio State defensively is going to present much bigger problems for Cincinnati than what UCLA did. But I love what Cincinnati was able to do. They run the ball with Michael Warren. Des Ridder got off to a really good start. They got to take care of the football, and here's the thing for Cincinnati. They got to clean up those penalties. Too many mistakes in there that caused penalties. That UCLA-Cincy game got a little sloppy, but Ohio State's going to be a whole nother level of talent and physicality, and it'll be really interesting to see if Luke Fickell's group is ready to fight the fight in the big house.
For head coach Luke Fickell, his previous stop was the defensive coordinator at Ohio State. How close to home does this hit for Fickell?
Yeah, I think it's pretty close to home. And look, he knows the difference. Unlike I just screwed up and said the big house, it's the horseshoe. He knows the difference there, right? But at the end of the day, yeah, I think the coach can tap into it somewhat. But look, Cincinnati is now his team. He's bringing his guys in. So it's not, hey, that's where I used to be. I want to beat them. It's, I want us to be where they are. That's why we need to play well.
You can catch that one at noon Eastern on ABC on Saturday. Another tough road test in the American will come when Tulane heads to Auburn. How would a win like this solidify what head coach Willie Fritz has been building down in New Orleans?
Huge. It's a level jump, quite honestly, Haley. If Tulane's able to get that win over an SEC opponent, another P6 opponent, it would be big. And, you know, I mentioned when we did the mailbag that, hey, just be in the game, right? And to me, I would take that. However, if we're talking about jumping to the next level and getting yourself, honestly, I think for Tulane, this game could be so big that I don't know if it necessarily would make them the favorite in the West. However, what it would do is jump them in terms of the kind of bowl game they could get into at the end of the season. So a win against Auburn could end up not only bring more notoriety to the American, but put Tulane in a bowl that's going to get a lot of their people really excited.
Auburn ranked number 16 this week, and it would be Tulane's first win over a ranked opponent since 1984. So the Green Wave with the chance to make a big statement on Saturday night. That one is at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2. All right, Andy, let's talk USF. They are coming off a tough loss against Wisconsin. Now they head to Georgia Tech. What is an approach for week 2? What is the approach, rather, for week 2 for the Bulls?
Well, a lot of it is let's just clean up the mistakes first and foremost. And the one good thing about getting ready for Georgia Tech now is that it's our old friend Coach Collins, formerly of Temple, who's down there. And it's not trying to get ready for the Navy offense in a week because we know that's what Paul Johnson used to run. So there's a big transition going on at Georgia Tech stylistically. And I think for USF, get the early lead. Find a way to put some points up on the board and allow your defense to then be successful. Look, Charlie Strong knows Jeff Collins. He knows what he's going to do. I don't know if Collins has the personnel to do what he wants to do yet at Georgia Tech. So for me, this can be a get-right game for USF against a big-name brand because that brand is in transition.
UConn at home for the second straight week. They were able to hang on and defeat Wagner last weekend, but this week they welcome a much tougher opponent in Illinois to East Hartford. What will be the key for the Huskies to get off to a 2-0 start?
Well, I mean, they got to find a way to finish. And Haley, it feels like for like 3 years now, we've been sitting here talking about UConn's got to finish games against Wagner. It was a problem again. They've got to find a way to finish, get the lead, find a way to be able to hold on to that lead. But more importantly, if you have the opportunity to finish the game, put together a full 60 minutes. Randy Edsall's got to be pulling his hair out right now. And this Illinois group is no joke. They've got a lot of talent in key areas that can burn you. So if you're UConn, you can't give up those big plays, and you need a full 60 minutes. I'm sure the kids in UConn have heard that for 3 years now from Randy Edsall.
UCF with a big win in week 1 against Florida A&M. Now they head to Florida Atlantic. What was your first impression of this UCF team, especially after getting to see the 3 healthy quarterbacks get to work?
Bingo, that's what it was. It was that, oh my God, they lose quarterbacks like Darryl Mack Jr., and we know what happened to Mackenzie Milton, and they're still, I'm not going to say loaded at the position, but they've got guys who can function within their offense under Josh Heupel in year 2. So you got to be excited for the depth at that position. And look, there are a lot of teams in college football who, for whatever reason, get down to their 3rd quarterback, and it's, wow, this guy can really play too. Maybe that's what is happening at UCF, in that they're starting to develop the appropriate level of depth to be able to survive some of the big injuries that they've been able to go through. Now, again, it's a kick up in competition, obviously. I don't want to say for UCF it was a layup in week 1, but it kind of was. Now we'll see what they're really made of, not only against a better opponent, but with some quarterbacks who got a little taste of action.
Memphis coming off an exhilarating win over Ole Miss. How does Mike Norvell's crew not only keep that energy rolling, but continue to grow in week 2 when they host Southern?
Okay, let me just say I couldn't have been more wrong on the whole. I thought there was going to be 147 points in that game, for crying out loud.
What was it you said about the Memphis defense?
That they needed to show it, and you know what they did against an SEC opponent. That was one of the that game was part like bowling shoe ugly, part, oh my goodness, the Memphis defense has really grown and played well. And a lot of it was, holy cow, Ole Miss is not as good as I thought they were. That was a great defensive performance at home. Now, offensively, there's some stuff to clean up. Got to get back to running the football the way they did last year. I know there's playmakers that have been, taken by the NFL out of the program over the last 2 years. So you want to see the explosiveness come back on offense. But if Memphis can play defense at a level to where they can hold people to 21 points a game, they're going to be a real factor throughout the American all season long. Southern, they should be able to handle them, and they'll be able to put up a number, so they'll feel good about it. But to me, this is where if you want to be a great defense, you smother Southern. You hold them to 2 field goals, or you hold them to a touchdown in this one. So let's see if that Memphis defense can build off what they did last week. But good gravy, was I wrong on that one.
Andy, is it too soon for you to apologize to Memphis fans
Yes.
about how hard you've been on that
Of course
defense?
it is. Because if they turn around and they give up 28 points to a team like Southern, then I'm going to be scratching my head wondering, how in the world do you do that against Ole Miss? And then how in the world do you turn around and do that against Southern? So they have a long way to go. You know what? I'm like a coach. I need to see it long enough before I can really start to believe it. So I know the Memphis people want me down on bended knee. They're not getting that just yet.
Sorry, Memphis fans. I did try. All right, we'll revisit that a little bit later.
Oh, yeah,
this
we got
season.
plenty of time.
All right, let's head down to ECU, where the Pirates will welcome Gardner Webb this week. They lost to NC State on the road last week. But first off, we want to send our condolences to head coach Mike Houston and his family. Coach Houston announced earlier this week that his father passed away. So, Andy, when a head coach is dealing with something as difficult as that, how does that impact the focus and preparation heading into their first home game of the season?
It brings everybody together because you mourn the loss alongside the coach. You mourn the loss within the football family, which everyone tries to build. And I think for ECU, who did take it on the chin against NC State last week, and they had some issues really running the football, I think it'll turn into a heightened sense of awareness, bigger attention to detail. And look, there'll be some focus around the program even more because of what Coach Houston's going through.
All right, a few other notable games on the schedule Saturday. We have North Texas at SMU, Prairie View A&M at Houston, and last but certainly not least, Tulsa at San Jose State. Andy, what are you looking for across these 3 matchups?
Yeah, I think North Texas has the ability to give SMU a little bit of a battle. I love the way SMU ran the football last week in that win at Arkansas State, so now it's time to kind of build on that. And North Texas is no joke. I mean, Seth Luttrell's done a really good job down there. I think Houston will handle their business coming off of Oklahoma. And then Tulsa, San Jose State. I know we had someone in the American Mailbag asking about Tulsa. I thought defensively they played pretty good. Now, they've already made one road trip, back-to-back road trips, especially going from the center of the country out to the West Coast. Not very easy for Phil Montgomery's crew, but they can beat San Jose State.
What is your biggest question heading into Saturday?
How will Cincinnati do against Ohio State? Because I think, unfortunately, for a lot of the rubes that are out there who cover college football, they're going to judge the best teams against teams from other conferences, and it's any way to look, if Cincinnati goes in and plays Ohio State well, then people should be talking much more glowingly about the American, top to bottom, considering some of the performances they put in here in week one. Unfortunately, win, lose, or draw, I don't think that's going to happen. There's just a real stigma around the majority of college football media relative to the American Athletic Conference. But for me, that's the main event this week. Luke Fickell's got every reason to try to get his guys cranked up. They run the ball. Quarterback's got a little bit of experience. Let's put him up against a big boy and see how they do.
Cincinnati getting the action started for the American on Saturday at noon Eastern on ABC. They'll be followed by 9 more games, so make sure to follow along on Twitter at American_FB for in-game updates and highlights along the way. Also, Andy, tell the lovely folks at home how much you want their questions for next week's episode of the American Mailbag.
And you know what? It's growing every week, right? The American Mailbag. All you have to do is hashtag, what is it?
Ask Andy FB.
Thank you. Even I have a hard time figuring that one out. But again, by week 3 and week 4, it'll roll off the tongue, just like it is on people's Twitter handles. So send us your questions, good, bad, indifferent. Word them however you want. Try to make them that we can at least use them on the show, for crying out loud.
Be nice.
And we'll make sure to answer them every week, or at least the ones that Haley chooses from you to be able to bring to me.
It's a tough job that I have. All right.
Yeah, because I'd answer all of them. However, I might be a little salty with some people.
We have
so
to
it's
keep
better
you in check here at the American office.
That's exactly
we know how you can be.
Sure.
All right. Wishing all of you at home a great weekend. Enjoy your college football Saturday. We'll see you back here next week.